everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of The Signal Live. I'm Miranda Ham, and I'm here with Vanessa Gutierrez and Natalie Winters, and we are joined here today by mayoral candidate Gary Soiseth. How are you doing today?
Good, very good. Thank you for having me.
We welcome you back, and we're glad you're here with us.
Thank you.
Great. So just to start off, we know you're a third-generation almond farmer. What have you grown to love about the town of Turlock?
Oh gosh, everything. Since my first day I was born in Emmanuel Medical Center, I just fell in love with the city. So like you said, I grew up on an almond orchard here in Turlock, and I love the community. I love the people here. I've lived elsewhere. I've lived in Washington, D.C., abroad in India, but coming back home is always great. So I just absolutely love the city.
So you announced your candidacy to run for office on March 25th. Mm-hmm. What inspired you to run?
So for a while, I was in Afghanistan for about 3.5 years, and the way it was structured to keep me going back to back for tours, I'd come back for R&Rs, for breaks back to Turlock. And it gave me a chance to go abroad for about 2 months and come back for about 2.5 weeks, go back for 2 months, come back for 2.5 weeks. And I looked at problems that were and were not being solved: roads, water, deficit spending at City Hall, different things. And I'm a little bit of a policy nerd, or wonk, and so I looked at these and I would talk to good friends of mine and just say, well, what are we doing? Where are we going forward? And they just said, well, there's kind of a little bit of a void for direction, and maybe you could fill that. So we started talking about solutions. Never thought I'd actually run for mayor, but really thought about it for a long time, and then said, no, I'm going to throw my hat in there, put my vision out there, and see what people think.
So you'd say that this wasn't a goal that you had for a long time. It wasn't very pre-planned.
I think whichever community I'm in, I try and look for leadership roles and an ability to leave my mark in some way, whether it's small or large. Whether it's at the Georgetown Public Policy Institute, where I was my class president of 400 students there, is very small, or whether it's in Afghanistan, where I could take a leadership role within the military. I was with the U.S. Department of Agriculture, but working with them on certain projects. I just tried to stand out and lead. And so when I look at my community, I thought, okay, where would I best be placed? On the Planning Commission, the City Council, and I really think that the mayor's position, which is first among equals on the City Council, is a good position to help drive that policy discussion.
Okay. So if elected as mayor, what do you hope to offer the city of Turlock here?
So one of my top goals is water reliability, something that was talked about 8 years ago in the mayor's race when it was competitive. It's been talked about for decades, actually. In 1994, not to go too far back with you guys, you started yawning on my right. In 1994, they talked about this discussion about our subbasin and our water reliability, because right now the city of Turlock is 100% dependent on groundwater, just wells. And they had opportunities to get into negotiations with the Turlock Irrigation District to take Tuolumne River water and blend it with groundwater. And what I'd really like to do is force that discussion and push that forward and start talking again about what we can do. As far as deficit spending, we're going through our reserves very quickly. The economy is bouncing back, and we've weathered it really well. But at the same time, we have this other variable, which is the drought coming through. And we're an ag-based economy, and that's going to hit us pretty hard if we don't get that wet winter and a series of wet winters. So making sure that financially we're stable, that's something that's a huge priority.
So you previously taught here at Stanislaus. Mm-hmm. How does your experience help you better understand student needs?
Gosh. Well, I can't find parking ever, so I think that's something that I can relate to with all my students. I was fortunate enough right when I came back from Afghanistan to teach Intro to Comparative Politics and Global Politics, and then also Asian Politics. And I think just talking with them, circling up, which half the students liked and half of them didn't, and just talking around the circle about the contemporary issues going on. At the time, it was the Syrian crisis, and we had some issues there. That was kind of the big topic. But just listening to what they were looking at, not only from a global perspective, but what they were also facing day to day, their challenges, just putting food on the table for some of the single mothers that are students, talking to other students that they're the first generation college student, which is what I was as well. Just the hurdles there, just going to the administration building and being overwhelmed by some of those issues there. Okay, who's going to help me with my classes and who's not, and different things like that was really eye-opening to me, and so helped me empathize with the student population.
So it seems like you had a really great connection with the students that you did have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What do you feel is one thing that's important for the students who may not have had you as a teacher? What is important for them to know about you?
I think they need to know that I was fortunate to have about 80 plus students total over the 3 classes, And I really care about what happens even after graduation. I still can stay in contact with all of my students. I'm writing letters of recommendation, trying to assist them on opening their eyes to not just law school, but what about public policy school, or what about this program over here, or a teaching credential in this area. Things that I was exposed to and that people mentored me on. So I think the whole student body should realize that as mayor, I care about keeping these graduates from Stanislaus, which are some of the best in the Central Valley, here in Turlock and here in the area, and to create jobs for them and to help integrate them more into the city. So there's some people that come here from Los Angeles and Fresno and other areas. I want to keep them here. I want to keep them here in Turlock.
Yeah, that after graduation time is a very crucial, scary time. So we saw that on your website. You said that you believe many of the answers to our socioeconomic challenges will come from the students themselves. What did you mean by that?
Like I said, in having the discussions on random global politics questions, the conundrum between India and Pakistan and Afghanistan, or whatever it might be, there are a lot of good perspectives coming from the student population, students that really open my eyes to other aspects of a public policy issue. And so when you think about air pollution, when you think about roadway congestion or failing roads or whatever it might be, or water reliability, I don't have all the answers to these things. And so I really want to open that up to the student population, which is, I think, getting to probably something you'll end up asking me about my stipend and the scholarship fund I want. But I really think that a lot of the answers lie here. And just because students are younger on average here doesn't mean their policy solutions aren't worth talking about and aren't worth implementing.
So how can those students that want to talk about their policy solutions, how can they get involved and participate in some of that discussion?
Yeah, well, first of all, right now, currently, as a mayoral candidate, I'm happy to talk to anybody, anytime, anywhere. Grab a cup of coffee. I can squeeze you in between midnight and 12:30 in the morning, because that's probably the only free time I have as a candidate. But I'm going to have an open door policy. My phone number and my email are going to be broadcast. As a mayor, I want to hear these topics. Students can directly get involved in my campaign, but that's a whole separate topic. But really, I also am fortunate enough to have connections to, or just basically the ear of some of our legislators. I know them personally. I'm happy to say, hey, you have a solution for something that's going on in Sacramento, groundwater issues, whatever it might be. I have the right staffer you should talk to. Let me know, and I would love to put them in contact with them.
Okay.
All right, well, as you predicted, we did see that you decided to decline your mayoral stipend. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, so leadership starts at the beginning and at the top, and you can lead by example. Those are all cliches, but it's really true. And so when I decided to run, one of the first things I did was say, when I run, I want my motives to be pure and transparent, and to show the community that I'm very involved and that I'm doing this for the right motives. And there's a lot of great programs out here in Turlock that I currently donate to personally and otherwise, Westside Ministries, Prodigal Sons and Daughters, that I really support their mission. But when I looked at my mayoral stipend, I thought I want to further the public policy discussion. And I think that it's not just political science or public policy students that have good solutions. It's nursing students, it's biology students, it's future teachers. They have a good insight. So what I'm going to do is take my stipend, I'm going to take it from the city of Turlock, and instead of just turning it back to the Treasury, I'm going to take it and put it into a public policy scholarship here at Stanislaus, where once a year I'm going to get businesses to hopefully match that contribution. So it's a larger pot of money, and we're going to once a year have a big dinner where these business leaders, the people that can actually make some of these solutions happen, that have the resources to do it, or the connections to do it, or the authority to do it, sit around the table with these students and have them explain, in a couple minutes what their solution is. So after they've written their little essay, they can talk about it. And I think that will really further the public policy discussion here in Turlock and strengthen it and make it healthy.
Great.
Well, how do you plan on closing the gap between CSU Stanislaus and the Turlock community? Because that's something we do see a lot of issues on, or kind of, we don't necessarily feel that same support, I guess, from the community.
Yeah, just last week we had Warrior Night at the Turlock Farmers Market, and I was down there, and it was a sea of red. And that's excellent, and that's great, and that's how it should be normally. You should see the Stanislaus bumper stickers on the backs of cars. You should see people just wearing these T-shirts. That's how it is at Berkeley. That's how it is in San Luis Obispo. They really take their college and they embrace it. And we're getting there. We're on that road. It's a slow road, but we're getting there. The president's very committed to making this happen. But I think when you see public-private partnerships lead to things like the opening of the art exhibit and the program down in downtown, instead of just being here in the campus, it physically physically is located in downtown Turlock, which is something that we take very much pride in, our downtown. I think that's a good step in the right direction. We can continually do more. We need to look at our zoning, which is kind of the wonky, boring part of it, but look at our zoning and make sure it's proper around the campus itself. We want mixed residential. We want you guys to be lured off campus, to walk off campus and say, I'm not just going to commute from point A to point B. I want to stay here. I want to be here. I want to eat here. I want to just be in a cafe locally downtown, or if it's right across the street. So we want you guys to be here. And so hopefully that's the message you get from it.
Yeah, definitely. We see those steps being taken, especially like you said with the art exhibit.
Right, definitely.
That's awesome.
So we'll be furthering that, yeah.
That's very exciting. Now, to get a little more serious now, what sets you apart from the other candidate?
So that's a good question. I announced in March, and I had blinders on. I said, I'm not going to announce my mayoral candidacy because of somebody else or because I don't like this person's agenda. I'm going to say, here's my vision. Here's my vision for water. Here's my vision for roads. And if you like it, come on board. If you don't, you don't. And so I think that sets me apart from not just my opponent, but just any candidate, really. I'm convicted in where I stand. I'm happy to have a discussion on any topic, but I really won't be swayed. So as far as what separates me, as I think, to be honest, I made the decision in a vacuum, and that's something that I'm proud to have done, regardless of whether the current mayor or another person was throwing their hat in, or if Colin Kaepernick comes back and runs against me. I said, I'm going to take my chances. I'm going to put my policy vision forward and keep going.
That's great. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, other than the fact that we have a great campaign that is very volunteer-based. I have a volunteer campaign manager who's a CSU Stanislaus graduate. We are going to be kicking off Students for Soiseth here on campus, which is basically the idea that we want to get Stanislaus involved and get some of the students that have relocated here, maybe from Denair or as close as Hilmar or as far away as Fresno or LA or other areas, to actually re-register to their Turlock address, to go through, and it's not really a get out the vote or rock the vote program, but it's just saying re-register to Turlock. You're in this community for 4+ years. Really make a stand on where you view policy areas. And even if you don't vote for me, vote for someone that you believe in at this local level. And so it's really easy. You just fill out the form, and you can check absentee, which is easy because it comes to your mail, obviously, and you can just fill it out right there. But I'd really love the support of the campus because, again, I got to spend a whole semester here teaching, and I loved it. But it's a place also I somewhat grew up. I was here at the 4th of July fireworks when I was 10 years old, running around, getting exposed to higher education at that level, in the amphitheater or wherever it might be. So I'm proud to be running for mayor, and I'm looking forward to engaging with the students periodically and go from there.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us,
Definitely.
Gary. We really appreciate your time. And as the students can see, he definitely knows what he's doing. So for Miranda and Vanessa, I'm Natalie. Thank you for joining us.